Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, hello, my friends. Traditionally, when we get on the path, we are told purify, purify, purify. One way or another, purify. But what does it mean, this purification? The self is always pure. There is no contamination there. So the self doesn't have to be purified. It's very simple. All these patterns that we have accumulated, and everybody accumulates more or less while growing up in this world, these patterns that keep our attention fixed on an idea about ourselves, we have to loosen them up. We have to learn not to be driven by them, neither in thoughts or emotions or actions. But in order to do so, we first have to become aware that they are there. As long as we don't even know, we have all those patterns, we have all those ways, ingrained ways, those habits that push us to repeat certain things over and over, physically, emotionally, intellectually. If we have no idea that they are there, then we cannot work on them. But those patterns, once they are in place, and if we are never questioning them, they are setting the line. And when one just lets them stand, then the whole life is being influenced by that. Then whatever happens, the reactions become more and more predictable because it somehow or other will just repeat what's happening there. And that locks the attention in that self-image that we have created and the little world that belongs to it, the little bubble where consciousness goes round and round, missing that potential to expand consciousness, missing that potential to really step over our limits that we have created, that they are artificial, that they are not real. They simply harden over time by repeating them over and over. That makes our experience small, feeling separate, often desperate, and people suffer because of it. Consciousness naturally is expensive, and if we don't let it, it's painful. Why does the Buddha say life is misery, life is suffering? Because he observes how people function and sees as long as people function in this way, it's mainly suffering. We have to find a way to break out of it. And for that, we have to become aware. We have to introspect, we have to observe, we have to have a good look at ourselves and see, okay, whenever a situation a bit tense comes, my reaction is in a certain way, and instead of being expensive, it enforces even more that sentiment of being separate. So this purification has nothing to do with purifying the self. This purification is simply learning to be aware what patterns are there and then learn to sincerely let them go. It's not that we are bad people who need to purify. It's not that we are sinners, as we have often been told. Growing up in the Christian society, you're sinners, basically. This is not true. You are pure divinity, ever pure. We just have forgotten it. And in that forgetfulness, we have accumulated habits that prevent us even more from remembering. And these habits are the obstacles that we have to address, that we have to work on, and then really somehow find a way to let them go. Little by little, that's how it goes. But then suddenly a big chunk is dropping off. Just recently, I read a quote from Ramana Maharshi saying, the Guru is not giving enlightenment. The Guru helps the disciple to remove the obstacles. The self is already enlightened. The self is realized. Guru cannot give something that is already there. But the Guru helps the disciple to remove the obstacles. And these obstacles are our patterns. These obstacles are those habits. They have been imposed. We have nourished them. And once they are in place, if we don't question them, they just keep the conscious experience very small. We need not continue that. The potential is there in everybody. Have a good look at them. Have a good look what's going on. And then we have to have the courage to accept, okay, I'm doing most of the troubles that I'm experiencing. I'm doing them to myself. I keep on thinking, feeling, acting in a way that creates trouble, that creates a separation, that creates that sense of being separate, reinforces it, and we can learn not to do that anymore. It needs a lot of courage because all that we hold dear about the I personality, we have to put in question. Have a good, honest look at it, not condemning. Exactly, not again falling in the thing that, oh, you are bad, you are bad, you are a sinner. Simply, oh my God, I'm totally misguided. Lot of stuff I'm proud of is stuff that I have to question and let go because it prevents me from simply being natural. We have to come back to that naturalness, to that innocence. And in that innocence, old patterns can be seen easily. And when we see them clearly, it's possible to every time when we become aware, oh, there I'm pulled in that direction by the old pattern, that we say, no, not that again. I'm not going down that alley. And many times we will be overwhelmed simply because the habit is so strong. So what? If we are alert, we become aware, oh, got me again, but never mind. The intent becomes that much the stronger. I want to be free of it. It's that my personal baggage that prevents me from being aware that there is something pristine, pure at the base of it that makes the experience possible. Turn the attention back to that with faith, with conviction, with determination. And then whatever we become aware stands in the way, we can have a good look at it, separate from it and let it go. Let it evaporate. It's so simple. All that we are looking for is already here. It's not something that has to be accumulated, something that has to be created, has to be found at the end of a long journey. It's here, it's now, never absent. That purity, that divinity is present. Simply see the obstacles. The obstacles are mind created, and with that same mind that has created it, we can see it and we can work on it to detach from it. Certain things we see and it's easy, we can let them go. It's no problem. Other things, they are deeply rooted, are very strong, and often it feels hopeless trying to get rid of that. But if we are dedicated, if there is devotion to reality, then even the deep rooted patterns that stand in the way can gradually be reduced and reduced, and suddenly they go. This purity is not something to be accumulated. Purify doesn't mean we are bad sinners, bad persons that had to become better person, better person, better person. The path is not to become holier and holier and holier. The path is to see what we are carrying along. All that unnecessary garbage that we are carrying along, and learn to let it go. Incidentally, the more we let go of that, people around may feel and think and say, yeah, that you are getting a better person. But actually, the point is that we are getting less attached to that very notion of being a separate person. It is never absent. It is always here. It's like a treasure that is buried on our own ground. And we feel poor because we are not aware of that treasure. Instead of digging it out and enjoying the benefit of it. All the philosophies, all the spiritual techniques, all the spiritual paths, somehow or other they come back to that. The one, the practitioner who aspires for truth, has to confront one's own obstacles in the mind that have settled into the body physically, energetically. We have to see them. We can learn to be aware of them and let it go. Okay, my friends. Now I have been talking again by myself, and I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome to do so.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Ravi.
So, with regards to when I practice connecting throughout the day,
Mhm.
there's still, and it feels good, but sometimes I just feel there's, there's, I, I'm doing something.
Mm.
Um, and I know, uh, yeah, I feel like I'm doing something in order to connect.
Mhm.
Can you please talk a little bit about that? Because I know that, um, I guess it's probably just it doesn't feel natural to. We're so used to being stuck in our heads that when we move out of it, there's
Yes.
some effort, and that doesn't feel very natural. But please talk a bit more about it if you could.
Yes.
Sorry, one more thing, Werner, because also sometimes it feels like the little trick that I'm doing in order to feel this connection. Like again, it's a kind of a doing. It feels a bit like a little trick I'm doing.
Yeah. Good. Yes, there is in the modern spiritual teaching a lot of talk. Don't do anything. Every doing is preventing it. So it's people are being made afraid of, ooh, if you're doing something, then that again is already wrong. We don't need to do anything for the self. The self is pure, timeless, unblemished. But in our mind, we are creating all those notions, and there we are doing a lot to keep that alive. We are making a tremendous effort to keep our misery alive. We are making a tremendous effort to keep our delusions up. We are doing all the time, thinking the whole day long about something or other connected with our story. So naturally, we don't get around that little doing of becoming aware of what is going on, and then turn the attention back to the source. Yes, it is a doing. But as long as we are out of habit doing all the time the opposite, then we cannot help but make that little effort. Do that connection. Connect, and then you relax. But then you are off again. You consciously connect. It is a doing, but it's undoing. The other doings that we are unconsciously busy with all the time. Just somebody who lives a daily life, day-to-day life, and doesn't question what's going on. They are doing tremendously just to keep their world, their personal worldview, everything intact. We are feeding so much energy into it by thinking about it all the time. It's a tremendous effort, and nobody is aware that we are making that. It's a continuous doing to keep that illusory existence intact and to make it appear as real. So we're catching the attention where it is. It's in that story. And from there, we consciously do that. Consciously catch the attention and turn it around back to the source. Don't question that doing. As long as the habit pulls us in the opposite direction, that doing is necessary. Now, you say, but then you're using all kinds of tricks in order to connect. So what? By all means, everybody has to find their own tricks that work best. What's wrong with it? If your trick helps you to connect, then that trick is perfectly valid. It's not that somehow that because you are somehow tricking the mind that something is wrong with it. The mind is tricking us all the time in doing the opposite. The mind is the great trickster that is pulling the attention all the time into the old grooves. So we can trick the mind in order to turn the attention back to that. Once this happens automatically, once it has become again natural that you connect, there is no more need for any doing. But as long as the opposite is the habitual way, we cannot help but stop. Make that little effort of catching our attention. See what we are doing again. See where the attention is roaming again. Catch it and turn it around. And we can do that with any traditional method, or we can develop our own little tricks. Whatever works is perfectly valid.
And it does get easier. I notice as I do my practice more consistent, like if I practice being conscious, the longer I practice it as the days go on, the easier it is to step into that process. Um, yeah.
That is great.
Okay.
Sometimes there may be periods where it's not so easy because maybe from external influences, from stuff that comes up in this from the subconscious. But if we continue practice, then the general tendency definitely it's making it easier and easier. And then sometimes it happens that connection is just there, effortlessly, without the doing.
Yeah.
And then somehow the mind goes and we go again in the stories, and there we don't get around but consequently, when we are aware of it, hey, stop, come back, come back home and relax. Mm.
Sounds good, Werner. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hurry home. Hurry home.
Hurry on.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Lutz.
Yeah, I just want to ask about focusing on the witness versus focusing on a teacher.
Yeah,
Or the image of a teacher.
yeah,
My experience is when I try to focus on awareness, there's very little tangible result.
mm.
I might get a bit sleepy after some time,
Yeah,
but there's no kind of flashy thing
yeah,
happening,
yeah,
and it never really attracted me
mm.
that much.
Mm.
I'm only talking about it now because you mention that all the time.
Yeah.
So my my experience with that is very little and kind of not frustrating, but it feels for me I'm doing something wrong or it doesn't work for me.
Mm.
Whereas the other practice, which is focusing on a teacher in a relaxed way and trying to feel his energy,
Mm.
that often gives me some kind of jolt
Yeah,
or a kick.
yeah,
Somehow my whole being synchronizes with the energy of that particular teacher, and I get some energy flow, and I get a little bit kind of like this teacher
mm.
to a tiny little extent, but I feel there's something going on. I feel eventually my inner resistances towards that energy flow, or even bigger resistances towards the energy flow. And yeah, I feel something is happening in my energy body,
Yeah,
and it makes me kind of having faith that if I just continue focusing, the energy will flow better and better. And actually it does. I
yeah,
mean, if I over a prolonged period do that, I feel definitely different from the from the beginning of my practice.
mm.
There's some kind of attunement, some
Mm.
upliftment, something has moved, or I feel my resistance is even stronger than before. But there's some happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So my question is, what am I doing wrong with the pure awareness focus system? I tried that long time ago, a little bit in India, in Amma's presence, and sort of it worked, but I think because of her presence. And she made fun of me about that. Oh, now you are a great yogi or something like that. And she didn't encourage that for me.
Yeah, yeah.
She rather put it down. Although I had also I started to have some inner experience with that practice.
Mm.
but that worked only in her presence to that an extent that really something happened in me.
Yeah.
When I'm here just by myself in the usual circumstance here in
Yeah.
Germany, mostly I'm just getting a little sleepy, and
Mm.
after some time I usually I give up, or
Yeah.
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 So my question is, what am I doing wrong? I mean, actually, this the theory of this practice is very attractive, because it it seems to be very pure,
Mm.
but somehow it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. The thing is, whatever practice we are doing, we need to have that devotion to really get somewhere. And if a practice doesn't fit, we cannot muster up the devotion necessary. Hmm. So if you function better in the other way, then by all means function the other way and do that in your way. And you said yourself, when you do that for a prolonged period, then also you become more aware of your limitations. That means you doing then not by just observing yourself, but by tuning into the energy of a master, you become aware what are the obstacles that are there, and then you still have to deal with them. So, but the crucial factor is that if we do a practice without deep convictions, without the devotion that this practice helps me to connect with truth, then very little happens with that practice. And obviously, you are responding much naturally, much better by connecting with a master. And in that way, tuning into that energy. One can tune in that energy also simply by observing whatever is happening in the body, being aware of the life flowing. But there must also be somehow the mental setup to like to do that. And to be convinced, if you do that, it leads me deeper. So never mind. You need not force yourself doing it the way that is not natural for you. Go ahead in the way that works for you, with sincerity, with devotion, and then that is doing finally the same job. So it's not that you have to question yourself what I'm doing wrong with the other practice. You can just accept, okay, this practice is more natural for me, so that is the way to go about it. Ultimately, the job remains always the same. Whether you are doing inquiry and then becoming aware what is happening in the mind, how we are creating obstacles, or whether you are devotionally opening up to a guru or to a master or to a god. But then we also become aware what is standing in the way, and the job that finally is there for us to accomplish is to, when we see those obstacles in one way or another, learn to overcome them, learn to let them go. And if it's easier with connecting with a master, looking at the picture, or just feeling the heart-to-heart connection, then this is the perfect way to go about it. Then simply don't wonder what I'm doing wrong with the other way. Then you can just accept this is my natural way to approach. So let me put my focus on that as good as I can.
Yeah, thank you for this elaborate answer. So basically, you're saying just keep doing what works and don't bother so much about that. What doesn't work. Yeah, what I feel is I don't believe that I can connect with myself in a deeper way just by focusing on the awareness. There's somehow some kind of disbelief. There's some spontaneously I feel it's there's some resistance towards it. I mean, I'm now just talking about kind of feelings which are associated with that. It's something like I cannot do it by myself. Somehow because I like to hold myself down or some kind of weirdo belief is there. So and just looking at a teacher or somebody who has a kind of higher energy than me, spontaneously it works. There's no much thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. So good, great.
That's also why I'm joining this satsang, because for me it's some kind of easy meditation.
Yeah.
It's just by being open and focusing, I get out of my usual flow.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And if the way, the technique I'm talking about is not appealing to you, that doesn't matter. You still can join and connect with the spirit of the satsang.
Yeah, the kind of result of your practice.
That's the result of the practice. Right. You said you cannot imagine that simply looking at yourself that you are capable of connecting with the higher self, but nothing is really disconnected from the higher self. It's just an obstacle in the mind that believes, oh, uh, that's not possible. But if you can totally innocently relax, just consciously breathe in, breathe out, and you feel the flow of life, it's a total good way to connect with that divinity that makes the whole experience possible. But this,
Yeah, that's your constant preaching goes in that way, and that's why I'm also asking my question, because it it simply doesn't work so easily for me.
yes, and that's not the problem, then by all means, do it the way it goes easiest for you.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we leave it at that?
Yeah,
Hari
thank
Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
you.
I'm very well aware what Lutz now mentioned. I'm very well aware in the matter of practice. I'm giving a very one-sided information. Sometimes I was thinking I should talk more about other ways of practicing. But then, no, I just talk about that which I know best from my own experience. And to whom it appeals to work like this, it's great. They can pick it up. And everybody else who doesn't feel like some people don't feel like watching their body sensations, watching their breath, or just trying to be abstract in consciousness. By all means, practice everyone the way it goes best. Like Ravi just before said, then sometimes he uses tricks. And he had a bit like a bad conscience that he uses tricks. Ultimately, everybody has to carve their own path, their own yoga, their own approach. We can get the blueprint traditionally, or what we learn from a teacher, but then we just still have to somehow step by step go our way, and each way is again unique. Everybody finally practice their own yoga, their own approach. But by all means, whatever helps, what helps best, that is the best way to go about. Often I have said that people on the spiritual path, they usually are busy convincing others that their path is the best, the highest. And there is no such thing. Whether a path is good, whether a path is high, depends entirely the sincerity with which we are going about it. And in order to muster up that sincerity, we need to have a certain faith. And if that faith is not there with a certain practice, then it's very difficult to practice that practice and go anywhere. But it doesn't matter. By all means, that which comes natural, that is the highest, the straightest, the most powerful approach. And people are different, the mindset is different, so what one works for one doesn't work for another. And if somebody feels something goes very well for them, and they really can connect, and even if I'm not talking about that, even if I'm talking always about other ways to connect, then still choose your way that comes most natural, that comes easiest. That is the right way to go about it. There is no highest approach. The highest approach is that which is natural for us, and that is different from one to another. Mm. Mm. Okay, I'm asking again, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome. Okay, to the same subject. One more thing, like Ramana Maharshi, now is known as teaching self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. And it's also true. He taught self-inquiry. That this what came spontaneously to him at the beginning, and that was the natural way to go about it. So naturally, that was coming out a lot. But when he was working with people, he was adjusting to the people. To some people, he asked to do Atma Vichara. Others, he asked to do pranayamas. Others, he gave a mantra. And he adjusted his teaching. And even the Atma Vichara, it was different how he was teaching it from one person to another. When he was no more here, then there was a lot of fighting going on amongst the followers. What is the proper way of Atma Vichara, how Ramana Maharshi has taught it? But actually, even the Atma Vichara, he has taught to different disciples in different ways. But I remember having read that he gave a mantra to somebody, and that person did that mantra. He said, "Oh no, I cannot. I cannot. It doesn't work with me. Repeating a phrase over and over and over, it just doesn't work." And then he said, "Okay, you try now with Atma Vichara." But the opposite also, he said to somebody, "Okay, try inquiry." Person came after some time, "Oh, this feet so dry and it doesn't help me. I'm not getting anywhere." And he said, okay, do mantra or do pranayams. Try that. But now he's known, Ramana Maharshi means Atma Vichara. It means Atma Vichara, but it means also he taught everybody in their own way. Sometimes he was scolding the people around him, asking questions. "You intellectual guys, you are really a pain. You're asking questions on and on." If a simple villager comes, I give him a mantra. He goes home and practices the mantra and leaves me in peace. So do that which comes natural. And what I said to Lutz, we need to have that faith that it is helpful. We need to have that devotion that we really do this practice, not just some kind of a time passing hobby kind of thing, but as a help to connect with that essence. And if that faith is not there, it's very difficult. If that basic devotion that we really long for truth is not there, it's very difficult. But if that is there, then that practice that comes naturally, that is by far the best. Okay, now we're stopping about the subject. Is there anybody else who would like to come? You're welcome to come in.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
I try not to ask too intellectual questions. The patterns you're talking about, stepping out of them means center and relax, right?
Yes. The more you are capable to center and relax, the more you become aware when the patterns come and want to pull you away from that centeredness.
Yeah, because I'm not getting out of my patterns very, very deeply when I try that, especially if it's something that has a certain pull. Yeah, then I cannot center very well and relax, because then, yeah, it's like grabbing me. And for example, then I might be fearful about something or tense, and then it's very difficult to step out of that.
Right, and then you need not fight with it, but it's good to recognize it, to be aware, oh, it catches me again, it pushes and pulls, but then try to redirect the attention. For example, in breathing, centering, relaxing.
I feel that I'm most of the day caught up in my patterns, one way or another. So I should, the job is to always try to get out of it and be present.
To be aware. I mean, certain patterns, they don't really disturb. Certain patterns, they don't create disharmony. And we don't have to remove those. But there are patterns that totally keep on increasing, strengthening that sense of being separate. That there is the other side of me, and when there are strong emotions, unpleasant emotions, and we hold on to them, that feeling of separation is again being strengthened. Other patterns that we have learned, they don't disturb basically the harmony. We don't have to worry about those. Like somehow or other, you still have to behave for the rest of your life. Somehow or other, we have to spend our time. And it's not that you have now to throw away totally that personality. It's a role that you are playing. The identification is the problem, and there are certain patterns that strengthen that identification. There are other patterns that don't strengthen that, and then we don't need to worry about those.
Is trust an important issue in that matter? You like trust in life and God's will?
It makes it so much easier if we can build up some trust. I mean, we can also in material life, we cannot do anything without a certain trust. You cannot step into a public transport without having the trust that it's going to bring you somewhere. And that it's not going to explode on the way. We are doing so much in our day-to-day life with trust that something is doing certain things. Without a certain trust, it's very, very difficult. And that trust comes if we are practicing and we start to experience that if we really connect and relax, that there is such an increased depth, then the trust comes. And by practicing more, enough trust to continue. And by practicing more, the trust is increasing. Yes, I mean, looking in the good direction.
What about a pattern that, for example, I like to be comfortable and have some nice time. I mean, this and get distracted. Is that yeah? When I'm doing that, I'm not, yeah, sometimes when I'm, for example, bicycling, it helps me to be at least a little bit present in the moment because I look at nature and feel there's, yeah, it feels a little bit connected. And other things, it's not so much. Can you say something?
Okay, but well, like you don't need to think that when you are going cycling that you are distracting yourself. You can very well be aware when you are cycling. You can be aware of your body movement, your breath. You can be aware of the life flowing through your system and exactly connecting with nature. It's not a distraction from that. Okay, sitting on the couch and watching TV may not be so easy then to keep that alertness up. Uh, But if you like to do so, then I would just recommend you make a bit a timetable. You don't have to prevent yourself from doing so, but you can tell yourself, okay, I give you that and that much time, so that, and then even there, once in a while, in between, maybe you remember, then even when watching a movie, that at that moment you consciously connect and observe the emotions that the movie is producing, observe the energies that are flowing through the body, that because of the story, whatever you are watching. I'm not saying you should now live an ascetic life and every damn thing that in you that goes on the whole day long should be so strictly that there is only one direction. If you feel like to feel comfortable, then make yourself comfortable. But at the same time, be alert that you are not depending on it. If you can have the comfort, fine. And if you don't have the comfort, then learn to accept, okay, comfort is not there, so it's also fine.
Yeah. One of my patterns is that I'm always afraid to get sick because I was sick a lot when I was a child. Like I had inflammation of the breathing system, respiratory systems, and it wasn't very nice then. So I'm always careful, and I was concerned about it. And sometimes, yeah, because I realize it's getting more likely when I feel stressed out. So I try to avoid too much stress, but sometimes I think I'm too cautious. So
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense to keep your body healthy as possible, but not out of fear. Learn not to be afraid, but simply because it makes sense. A healthy body is a better instrument to connect. When we are unhealthy, the body is full of pain, it's more difficult to connect. Then the attention has more the tendency to get caught in it and being then fixed on the physical level. Sometimes we can also have that openness that sometimes a body gets sick, and sometimes it may also be helpful that the disease may disrupt certain things, certain patterns, and if it happens that you get sick, then try to connect as good as you can. In spite of that, in spite of physical pain, that you still connect, that you remember to connect and relax. By the way, it's also the best way to get cured again if you connect and relax. But to keep the body healthy is perfectly fine. It's not bad, maybe to do a few exercises for that. Breathing consciously helps a lot, but not with fear, not with the fear that society tries to instill with all the threats that are there, that they are terrible, creating fear in people, and then make them run to do checks and this and that all the time. You don't have to keep uh, your health up with fear like that. Just learn to be relaxed, whatever you are doing, and then keep the body reasonably healthy without being obsessed with it. But you say out because of the experience of your youth, there is a certain fear there, fear of getting sick. And maybe you can address that fear. When you feel, when that feeling comes, that feeling of fear, of maybe you get sick, then address that feeling directly. Let that feeling come, let that fear of getting sick come, observe it, observe what it is doing, observe how it is actually affecting your physical healthy condition right now, and then relax, let it go. And then more and more that fear goes, and that is already a main step of being healthy. That fear of getting sick goes.
Okay. That's it for today.
Okay, okay. Hario, Hario.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Is there anybody else who would like to come?
Namaskar, Werner.
Hello? It's very dark. Don't really see you.
Okay, I'll light it up a little bit.
Yeah. I see the
Maybe
name
this.
Eric. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello,
Hello.
Eric.
Yeah, about sickness,
Hmm.
as you can see,
Hmm.
I caught. I'm gonna try to say in English. Shingles C3 with Bell's palsy.
Yeah.
I'm affected with the cervical hernia, C6, C7, left foraminal, non-investigated trigeminal symptoms, migraine intolerance to analgesics, dormancy, and anxious irritation, which makes me intolerant. So all the pills that the doctor is giving me, I sleep all day. But I'm okay. I'm okay inside.
Hmm.
I come back. And I know that the body, the circumstance, all what happening, the systems, they want me to go back to work. They want to cut me, the money problems, all the things that happen.
Hmm.
I'm okay because I am. I exist.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the anchor.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, the teaching goes accordingly to the container.
Hmm.
So everyone needs to find their own path and needs
Yes.
to walk the path.
Yes.
Walking, the love comes from walking the path.
Yes.
Without love, we know a lot of things. We know how to turn within, but to stay within, it takes love.
Hmm.
And when you fall in love, no one needs to tell you that you have fallen in love because you know you're in love.
Yes.
I know that I exist, and I know that this comes and this goes. And if it is body, it's like a whole shoe, you know.
Yeah.
Many times I've dropped the body. So yeah, fear comes, fear goes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't know at that point
You don't know at that point about?
about on a material level,
Ah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
But I know one thing. I need to drop the high. I need to give everything that is rising and coming back always to that place, like you say,
Mm,
like relax,
mm,
coming back. I know that this is grace
mm,
every single minute, every single hour, every single spending little much, even it's just a second time that in seconds, a second that oh, I'm gone.
mm,
That is the calling.
mm,
The calling is so strong because even I notice that the calling is hurting
mm.
sometimes.
Yes.
I try everything. I try acupuncture. I stop eating
Mm,
sans gluten without all the stuff, the no meal product, everything. I'm vegan, pure vegan now. Inflammation doesn't go, the body doesn't follow. It doesn't follow. All my left side is strange, but I remember like it when a elephant comes in the hunt, it's normal that the body is so maybe I'm not the body is not able to support the self. I don't know it's if it's that, but
mm,
I see a little bit of a parallel about that.
mm. Well, I recommend, I congratulate you for your courage, how you are carrying on in spite of all the difficulties. That the main thing, keep on that as the center. Connect, you are. There is absolutely nothing that can do anything to that. That is prior, that is during, that is after. And then I wish you the best, that maybe something comes along that helps you physically.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's
unfortunately, the school medicine is these days not very helpful in such cases.
I was sitting yesterday in a meeting
Mhm,
and it's a therapy.
mhm,
It's it's based on hacked ECT, and they were suggesting the people that on depression to take pills. I don't want to get there because some needs to get. For my experience, pills make me sleepy. I cannot. I have a family. I have a wife. This body needs to do things. I can
mm,
sleep all day, all night, and the pills doesn't fix
mm,
all the rest,
mm,
you know? So it's easy. It's easy with the pills, but some needs the pills. Otherwise, I try to work around that problem,
mm,
as much as I can to be functional,
mm,
to stay more functional. But the system is kicking me. They're trying to cut me because they think that because I don't take the pills, I'm not really ill.
mm,
That's funny, but I don't know. Even there, it helps me. This helps me to turn within because I know it brings me discrimination with what's really real and what is not real. But by the meantime, sometimes, like you said, a healthy body would be helpful.
mm.
But in that situation, this body is not helpful. It's helpful for one thing because I know that the only thing that will make me completely happy is to turn and sink within
Yeah.
and stay. Even if everything is pulling me out now, everything is pulling me out.
Hmm.
I try to see this like just a story, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, a healthy body makes it easier. But if in an unhealthy body you are still capable of connecting, then you are getting that much the stronger doing so. You're,
Yeah, that's the real gift. That's
yes.
I'm really thankful to have Arunachala Ramana and have Neem Curry Baba and
Mm,
all the saints. Oh my God, I'm so grateful to
mm,
have that because I know that these are rocks.
yes.
Arunachala is a rock, a stillness,
Mm,
and a magnificent, magnificent love and grace. The grace is always pouring.
yes.
Yeah,
Eh,
from within.
yes. So by all means, connect with that as good as you can in spite of all the difficulties. That
I walk around my house
mm,
and I imagine I'm walking around Arunachala. And
yeah.
even my neighbors, they're starting to walk around my house because I don't know, maybe the energy. I cannot explain. It's something really crazy.
Your neighbors walk around your house.
Sometimes, yeah, I see few of them. And when I was not feeling okay 2 days ago, I was really crying. And my daughter, 6 years old, she said, Papa, why don't you go walk around the house
Hey, yeah.
and probably make 10 turns around the house?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Even through her, he's speaking.
Hmm. Well, continue with that same spirit. On the physical level, I recommend you something. You may be a bit shocked, and you can try it or not. I would try nicotine patches. Put on nicotine patches.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
it may cure you of a lot of your things.
How come?
Nicotine actually is a healing medicine. That whole thing about addiction that has been created by the industry, they are putting all this poisonous stuff in the cigarettes to make people addicted and getting cancer and all that. But nicotine in itself is a great healing thing. So try for some time to put nicotine patches. It may help you to get better.
And there's a certain dose for it, or you recommend, or just the normal patches?
Normal patches. I would take a quite a strong dose, but I don't know the numbers.
Because it started from C3, C2
Yeah,
zona, and then it got to C3, and my eyes is not touched, but from 1 week and with the pills, it's still, eh, but my eyes and my nose and my brain, everything is okay. And
mm,
even the blood, I don't make those little button, it's just inflammation
yeah, yeah, mm,
with all the other condition.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's gonna help because I get sometimes 8 on 10 of pain. It
Mm,
goes from 4 to 8,
yeah.
5, 6, 4, fluctuating.
Yeah.
All these V3s coming. Actually, this is all colors, eh? We're all colors. Before names, before objects, before it's all colors. Chitri vitri nivri nivrota still. Patanjali Sutra Patanjali. That's
Yeah.
what he said. But even there's an eye doing trying to steal. That eye needs to be surrendered, and that's the whole job.
Yeah.
I
And
wonder
and
how come Yoganananda
uh,
decided that at a certain point that he could go to Mahasamadhi. Is it because his dharma was done?
yes,
Okay, so maybe I still need something to do.
maybe you are not quite finished with that story.
Yeah,
Yes. And you just
there's still
keep
a
that
little bit some
intensity.
glue somewhere hiding.
But you keep that intensity and that sincerity. That is the main thing. And not a drop of what we are going through, of the pain, of the strain, of the suffering we are going through, is in vain, is accumulating something very precious that stays with you. So you are not wasting your time, even if it's not going nicely. But the more you can be alert and focused as you are, the more benefit you get out of it.
So even the idea that I could decide going and dropping the body, I should leave that, surrender that.
It's better to surrender. I can accept,
Because it's still my will.
yeah, and I can accept that if somebody suffers hell and it's clear it's not getting better, that they decide, okay, enough is enough. But as long as you can somehow hold out, you are having a chance to accumulate something very precious that you are taking along when you are going.
Okay, but the other thing is if everything is an illusion and from that level, so why we should have some mission and something to accomplish because it's not real. I don't get that. Maybe it's
It's
too intellectual what I'm
it's
saying.
it's not real, it's not unreal. It's relative, it's mithya.
Okay.
This whole world is not as real as it appears, but it's not non-existent. It's a magic show, and we are projecting into this magic and living through our all these stories. You, the self, is never incarnated, even now,
Mhm.
is timeless,
Mhm.
prior to time and space. And an aspect is projected into this time-space continuum to gain experience, because it's not that the self essentially has to change, but the experience of the essential reality keeps on unfolding and expanding. So your being is projecting into this magic show just to have the experiences. We don't have to take ourselves and our missions too serious.
But like Anna Swami says, if the milk is separate from the butter, then after you cannot put it back, the little milk.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the whole thing is to separate because the self never came here, never been. We're all one. When I sleep in deep sleep, there's nothing, no problem, no pain, nothing, nothing, just I.
Right.
Just I exist. But the problem is I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. All is one. In that oneness, there is also the multiplicity. No teaching can do justice to what is really going on. can really explain. That oneness, we are not separate. In that oneness, there are infinite numbers of centers of perception. There's not a problem there because there is no separation. It's all one, and yet each center of perception is something unique. And that unique being, that is not the problem. The problem is when we are projected here and then identify with the role we are playing, and then we feel the separation, and there all the problem comes. But that being is not the problem. And that being, the experience of that oneness, of that mystery of existence keeps on unfolding, and there's no end to it. It's not that eventually, okay, the milk and the cream is separated, a certain step is accomplished, but it's not that at a certain moment, this is the end of the story. The experience keeps on unfolding. There is no limit to that.
That's what Nisargadatta Maharaj said.
Mm,
He said that it was always unfolding and going deeper and deeper.
right. We can make an
That's
end to suffering. We can make an end to all the silly, stupid things that we are holding on to and be free of that. But the experience of that keeps on unfolding. Like some people think that Ramana Maharshi with 17, he had boom, that experience and that was it. No, that was a step which he made very easily, that people work for a long time to get that step, to be able to connect. But from there it started and it never stopped, that unfolding process.
yeah. He said so too.
Mm.
In Akshavanamala, if you read when he talks to Arunachala, we understand what he said. It's all clear, and his handwritings, it's all clear what he said about that. It's not like yeah, the identity when at the point at 17, but after what unfold was his being.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would not. You would have not get. He would have not get up of the temple. When he was completely absorbed, he would have stay absorbed.
Yes.
So what's the point of coming back?
Yes. So there is a point in that projection, in this physical existence. It's actually this miraculous interaction of consciousness and matter is somehow a ground where something very powerfully can be accumulated to help that process of unfolding. And if one can stick it out, it's worth the trouble to stick it out. And basically, yes, leave it to God when it's time to go.
Because that's what's popping up in my mind is the chit jada grandi, the knot between what's real and what's unreal. But he said that it's half true and half lie. Like you say, when you're watching a news on the TV, you say half is true and half is a lie. So, like you said, that's what makes me remember. You said that everything here is not totally an illusion, and it's not totally. It's like half real and half.
Good. Okay, shall we leave it at that for today?
Hari Home.
I wish you well. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hario. Yes, this life isn't real. It's not unreal. It's not real. It's relative. This world is not as real as it appears. It's not non-existent. It's a magic show. And we all project into this magic show in order to gain experience. For that purpose. For that, basically, it makes sense to stick it out, because for that we have come. And the more we are conscious, from moment to moment, the richer we are leaving this story, this momentary story of human appearance, of human existence. But if we learn to be centered, if we learn to connect with that essence, then we become aware also that joyousness that everybody somehow is seeking, looking for, bubbles out of that. It's already here. It's already now. And if that awareness dawns, then even life in this crazy world becomes bearable. Then we can connect with that source of joy, with that sense of fulfillment, wherever we are. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.